Brave white lion cub alone seeks help to save its injured mother. The storm that changed everything. The wind howled through the frozen plains, carrying thick snowflakes that blanketed the land in white. The once thriving savanna had turned into a merciless winter wasteland. Beneath an ancient, leafless tree, Syrah, a magnificent white lioness, lay motionless, her fur stained with blood from a battle fought against a pack of hyenas. Her breathing was shallow, and her golden eyes, once full of life, were dim with exhaustion. Beside her, her young cub, Kovu, nudged her gently. "Mother, wake up. Please, we have to move." Syrah's voice was weak. I can't, my son. You must go. Find help." Tears burned in Kovu's blue eyes, but he knew she was right. If he stayed, they would both perish. With one last nuzzle, he whispered, "I'll come back for you. I promise." Then, he turned and walked into the unknown. A cub's desperate mission. Kovu's tiny paws sank into the deep snow. As he made his way through the unforgiving wilderness, every step was a struggle, and the icy wind bit at his fur. He had never been this far from his mother before, and fear gnawed at him. He had heard stories of a great river where the elephants roamed. If he could reach them, maybe they would help. But as night fell, the landscape became even more treacherous. The shadows stretched longer, and the distant howls of wolves sent shivers down his spine. Suddenly, rustling in the bushes made him freeze. Two glowing eyes appeared in the darkness. A lone wolf had spotted him. Kovu's heart pounded as the wolf stepped forward, sniffing the air. He was too small to fight, and too slow to run. The only thing he could do was think. He quickly darted beneath a fallen log, curling into a ball. The wolf sniffed around, then let out a low growl before finally losing interest and moving on. Kovu let out a shaky breath. He had survived this time. The Frozen River Challenge. By morning, Kovu's journey led him to a vast frozen river. His mother had spoken of this place, the Great Ice Flow. The surface was smooth but deceptive. The ice was fragile in some places. Kovu took cautious steps forward, feeling his paws slip against the ice. The silence was eerie, only broken by the sound of the wind and his own breath. Halfway across, a sudden crack shattered the stillness. Panic surged through him as the ice beneath him fractured, sending jagged lines in every direction. Before he could react, the ground collapsed, and he plunged into the freezing water. The cold was unbearable. It gripped his tiny body, stealing his breath away. His legs thrashed as he struggled to stay afloat, but the current was too strong. Just as he began to sink, a powerful force grabbed his scruff and yanked him out of the water. A race against time. Shivering and gasping for breath, Kovu found himself lying on the snowy riverbank. His rescuer was a massive figure, a lone lion, his fur dark and battle-scarred. "What are you doing out here alone, cub?" the lion rumbled. Kovu's teeth chattered as he spoke. My mother. She's hurt. I need to find help." The older lion studied him for a long moment before sighing. "You won't last long out here. Come with me." Kovu hesitated, but he had no choice. He followed the lion, who led him toward a sheltered cave. As he warmed up by the fire the lion had built using dry branches, he realized he was running out of time. His mother was still out there. "Alone, I have to go," Kovu said firmly. The lion nodded. "Then you must hurry. But beware, the pack is still hunting in these lands." The guardian's warning. With renewed energy, Kovu pressed on, now aware of the dangers that lay ahead. The lion's warning echoed in his mind. The pack was near. As he crested a hill, he spotted a group of animals in the distance, elephants. His heart leapt with hope. If anyone could help, it was them. But before he could reach them, a chilling sound froze him in place. A chorus of eerie laughs. He turned slowly to see a group of hyenas emerging from the shadows, their eyes gleaming with hunger. Facing the pack, Kovu stood his ground as the hyenas circled him, their sharp teeth flashing in the moonlight. He was small, weak, but he wouldn't give up. One of the hyenas lunged. Kovu dodged, but another snapped at his tail. He yelped, barely escaping. Just as the pack closed in, a thunderous roar shook the air. The ground trembled. The hyenas hesitated. Then, out of the darkness, massive figures charged toward them. The elephants had arrived. A call for help. The elephants trumpeted loudly, their sheer size intimidating the hyenas. The pack scattered, vanishing into the shadows. Kovu stumbled forward, exhausted. He looked up at the leader of the herd, a wise old matriarch. "Please, my mother needs help." The matriarch studied him for a moment before nodding. "Lead the way, young one." The elephants march, with Kovu guiding them. The elephants moved swiftly through the frozen plains. Their heavy footsteps crushed the snow beneath them. As they marched toward the ancient tree where Sira lay. As they approached, Kovu's heart raced. What if he was too late? Then he saw her still breathing. But barely, the final rescue. The elephants wasted no time. Using their strong trunks, they gently lifted Sira onto their backs. With slow, careful steps, they carried her toward the safety of a warmer valley where food and water were abundant. Kovu stayed by her side the entire journey, nuzzling her whenever she stirred. Hours later, as the sun began to rise, they reached their destination, a new dawn. Sira lay in a soft bed of dried grass, the warmth of the sun on her fur. Her wounds had been cleaned, and for the first time in days, she opened her eyes fully. Kovu's face lit up with relief. "Moved." She smiled weakly and licked his forehead. "My brave cub, you saved me." Kovu nuzzled her, his heart full of joy. He had done the impossible. As the golden light of dawn washed over them, the young cub realized something. He wasn't just a cub anymore. He was a survivor, a warrior, and one day, he would become the king his mother always knew he could be.